Hello, Vespasianians! Welcome back to our online learning in oral communication subject. Are you all ready for our lesson 2? But before we proceed, let us review what we have discussed from the lesson 1. From our lesson 1, we discussed the definition of communication. That also includes the 7 elements of communication, and these are the speaker, encode, message, receiver, feedbacks, channel, noise, or barriers. We also tackled the 3 models of communication, and these are the linear model, also known as one-way process. Second is interactive model, or the two-way process. And the third one is what we called transactional model. Today, we will study the functions and barriers in communication. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to explain the functions of communication, determine the barrier of communication that affects the communication process, and establish awareness to the different reasons of having communication breakdown. We all know that communication is already considered as an essential element for our survival. It plays different roles in our life, such as relaying information, socialization, providing direction, and that are vital for survival. Also, communication comes in different form. As such, it also attempts different purposes. However, it is inevitable to communicate if there are some factors or barriers between the speaker and the receiver, like a teacher who is discussing a lesson to her student, but since some of the students are noisy, the message of the teacher cannot receive by the receiver clearly and accurately because of the barriers between the teacher and the student, which is the noise. And to start our discussion, let us ask the question, why do you or we communicate? There are different reasons why we communicate. It is not only important, but it is vital for a human being. When you are communicating, you are thinking about yourself, but also to other people you are trying to send a message to. One of the many reasons we communicate and why we need to communicate are physical needs, identified needs, social needs, and practical goals, among others. To understand it better, we will discuss the 5 functions of communication. The first function of communication is what we call control or regulation. This is when people engage to a communication and they intend to control the behavior of others. They use communication to regulate the other's amount of activities they engage in. It is also usually happen by sending a command. An example of control or regulation is when employees communicate any job-related grievance to their immediate boss, follow their job description, or comply with company policies. Communication is performing a control function. Another example of control or regulation is a school guard minimizing the number of people queuing in the enrollment lane and advising the students to wait in the lobby. In doing so, students will not crowd on the area and social distancing will be observed.
Students, do not crowd and follow the line properly. Those who are not in queue, settle yourselves in our waiting area at the lobby.
The second function of communication is social interaction. It pertains to spontaneous verbal exchange occurring in natural settings that are familiar interactions. People engage in social interaction to maintain bonds, intimacy, relation, and associations. An example scenario of this is on the next slide. Let's see and listen what are they talking about. We are spending our week to my grandma's this holiday.
Oh, that's great. We will spend ours here. My sister is coming from abroad.
I will be expecting souvenirs when the school resumes. The third function of communication is information. This function of communication is apparent in disseminating information to one another. It is used in giving and receiving information, comes in the form of statements or facts. It also provides the information individuals and groups needed to make decisions by transmitting the data needed to identify and evaluate choices. Thus, communication helps to facilitate decision making. An example of information is a newscaster giving updates about the new cases of coronavirus in Angeles City.
The Angeles City recorded the highest number of positive cases of COVID-19 for a day last August 23. Most of the cases are from Barangay Kutkut, while the others are from the different areas of the town.
The fourth function of communication is motivation. The very purpose of the speaker here is to engage to a communication that is to provide interaction that may change the person's desire, attitudes, belief, opinions, and actions by giving persuasive statements. It fosters motivation by clarifying to employees what they must do, how well they are doing it, and how they can improve if performance is subpar or below average. An example of this is a valedictorian giving an inspirational message to her fellow graduates during the graduation ceremony.
My fellow graduates, this day marks the end of the chapter of our lives as well as the new beginning of the another chapter. We will face more extreme obstacles than what we used to, but as long as we are powered by our motivation and purpose in life, there is no storm we cannot weather.
And the fifth function of communication is emotional expression. It provides the information individuals and groups need to make decisions by transmitting the data needed to identify and evaluate choices. Thus, communication helps to facilitate decision making. It is also uses important social signal that conveys a variety of information regarding a person's state of mind in his personal intentions and appeals to the listener's feelings. An example of emotional expression is a mother who is telling her daughter that she is always there for her whenever she feels sad or in serious problem.
I just want you to know that I will always be here if you need someone to talk to. I am not only your mother, but I could also be your friend, alright?
So there you go, Wespacinians. Again, the 5 functions of communications are control or regulation, social interaction, information, motivation, and emotional expression. So now, let's see if you understand what we have discussed from this lesson. Can you give examples of each of the functions of communication?